Hey guys, this is Vinny from Kegs and Eggs. You're about to listen to what will be released as the episode 3 of the podcast. Here, the three of us sat down and talked a little bit about, a sad subject. Because when this episode was recorded, I think it was the day after Anthony Bourdain tragically passed away. So we spent a little bit of time on that, and this episode is kind of it's a bit of a tribute to him, and it kind of spirals off from there, and not to be a downer, but this is there was a little bit of sad subject matter here, but we turned it around. So it was an interesting listen, and it was an interesting episode to make. It was fun. It was a good time. Please, if you can, rate and review and subscribe to our podcast. We're just getting started. This is only our 3rd episode, so it would really help us out if you could do that for us. Yeah. Well, thanks, guys, and I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Kegs and Eggs, episode 3, with Vinny, Schmitty, and Nils.
Yeah. Turn it loud. Yeah. In my headphones, yeah.
Adjust my headphone levels.
Little louder, yeah.
Adjust it, yeah.
Dropping cubes, yeah. Ice, yeah.
Ice in my headphones.
Ice in my headphones. Ice on my wrist. Ice on my list. Ice on my neck. Ice in the cup. Crack it, yeah.
Episode 3.
All right, guys. What's going on?
In chronological order, episode 3.
This is episode 3 of the Kegs and Eggs podcast. We're just firing everything up here. Got a little bullet bourbon on the rocks coming this way. We got some Pabst Blue Ribbon. Here with Vinny Powell and Schmitty.
What's up?
Here.
Got some crazy stuff going on with dogs. All right, let me hit that.
Bullet bourbon.
All right.
Line it up.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live, guys.
Sweet.
What's going on? Episode 3, Kegs
Welcome
and
to
Eggs.
Kegs and Eggs.
Live from Montreal.
Well, not live.
Not live, but we tried that live video thing with episode 2. It's tough.
Yeah, no, but it sounds better when you say live.
Live.
We'll do it live.
But we're not live.
We're not
live. This
This
is not live. So,
episode 3 is
not
the
live.
plagiarism podcast where we just take bits and pieces for every other podcast we listen to.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Birdcat. Kegs and Eggs.
I love the Birdcast. Shout out to Bert Kreischer.
Shut up.
Shout out to Bernd Chrysler.
Real quick, standing invitation to Bert Chrysler.
What was his name?
Bernd
Bernd Chrysler.
What was your favorite
Bernd
comedian's
Chrysler?
name?
Bernd.
It's Bernd Chrysler.
It's Brent Christmas. It's Brent Crystals.
Brand Christ. List.
Standing invitation.
So listen, guys. I don't want to bring the mood down here. I know that these are going to be
Good times.
released. I know that these podcasts are going to be released. Probably we're shooting for like July 1st through 5th or something like that.
Not today.
Definitely not today. But as we're recording this, Anthony Bourdain passed away yesterday. Hung himself. I'm actually pretty depressed about this.
He hung
Is that what it
Did
was?
he
I
actually
didn't hear that
hang
part.
himself?
Yeah, he
I
hung
did not
himself,
know
and
that.
his friend, his best friend, Eric Repair, found him. Eric Repair is a world-renowned chef. He's the chef, the head chef at Le Bernardin in New York City. Oh. Very, very popular restaurant.
Wow.
He's got a book out called 32 Yolks, which I read. Extremely good book. I would highly, even if you don't care about food. First of all, the book will make you care about food, but second of all, it's just super interesting from just anybody's perspective.
I read it as
about
well.
his life from
I did read it.
Save your book, Shmi. He doesn't read books.
Are you lying about the book reading?
I didn't read it. I read the cover. That's all I read.
I read
it. It
back
was so
cover.
good and very introspective. Yes.
Yeah. No, but honestly, like it's rough, man. I've been like pretty bummed this whole weekend about this.
Yeah.
Like, Anthony Bourdain was one of my favorites. I saw him speak in Boston. He came to Boston and did a talk, and I was fortunate enough to go to that. That was a year ago, 2 years ago, year and a half probably. He came to Boston, did a talk. Hilarious. Like I was enamored with Anthony Bourdain. I just wanted to meet him. He's just such a great guy, amazing cook. I read a lot of his books. I love his writing, the style of the writing, the work that he did on Parts Unknown and No Reservations. Just unbelievable TV shows.
I don't know that he even knew how influential he.
I don't think he did either, because my Instagram feed has been, you click on that search button and it's every picture except for like one or two is Anthony Bourdain.
Explore is just blown up.
It's
right now.
all Anthony Bourdain, and it's chefs, it's restaurant pages, it's just normal people who enjoyed his writing, enjoyed his books. It's unbelievable. I'm not sure that he knew how influential he is to so many people, or maybe he did, and maybe that's what he was afraid of. We don't know, but I'm a little depressed about this.
I liked how candid he was. I mean, I only knew him from a couple different TV shows and stuff, but I had seen him on, probably most known to me personally was on was it 24-Hour Layover on Netflix?
Yeah.
That was one that I watched a lot of.
Yep.
And I was like, I loved him. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, he
super
was
down
so
to
funny,
earth,
and just
like,
the way he wrote stuff. Like, yeah, he was always dark and a little cynical, but I love that. That was like it's like kind of like my style a little
human.
bit. It's
He's just
funny.
yeah.
Yeah. I just absolutely adored him. I adored his books. The Kitchen Confidential, absolutely incredible book.
How many books do you think he's written in the past?
I actually don't know, and I closed my laptop, so I can't look that up. But he, I know he has a few, and he has cookbooks. He released recently being probably last year, he released a cookbook that I own. It's very good, very good. Just very candid, very straightforward writing. Just an unbelievable read. It's just a fun read. Even if you didn't care about food, the cookbook is still a fun read.
That's the cool thing. To find a cookbook that's more of a like a personal dialogue.
Right.
That
absolutely.
has
That's what it
recipes.
was.
That's excellent. That's excellent. It's so much more than.
And that's what a lot of the cookbooks are nowadays. Like I'll tell people, I read cookbooks cover to cover, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "You haven't seen a modern cookbook from modern chefs like we're in Montreal right now. The Joe Beef cookbook, from right down there in what is it, Old Port, Vinny? Old Port, yeah. Joe Beef, in their sister restaurant, Liverpool House.
Joe Beef is
Dave McMillan, Fred Moran.
Little Burgundy. Sorry.
Oh, Little Burgundy. It's on Old Port. It's Little Burgundy. That's correct. Absolutely incredible cookbook. The Art of Living According to Joe Beef is the name of it. I own that one. Just an unbelievable read. It's the same thing. It's like the Anthony Bourdain's cookbook. It's just like you can read it cover to cover, and you're enamored.
Bourdain's got a lot of books. I was looking.
You're literally just
before.
scrolling through. I can see you right now.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. I saw like 65 books, but that was like, it seemed like that was a top thing. He might have written more than that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm looking at the same kind of thing, and like I announced that Netflix special. I think it was called The Layover.
That's what it is.
That was the thing.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It was 24 to 48 hours.
You're right. Yeah.
Travel layover episode.
Yeah.
There's about 20 episodes of that. Yeah. That was a great show. I loved it.
And on Netflix right now is I think it's either Parts Unknown. It's Parts Unknown.
I know Layovers.
That's what it is. It's Parts Unknown. No Reservations isn't on Netflix currently.
For sure, Layovers on right now.
As this is being recorded.
Yeah. As of.
But yeah, I think Layovers on there, and Parts Unknown is on there, and they're both outstanding. But even No Reservations was great. I honestly can't say enough about the guy. Like the book, Kitchen Confidential. If you guys haven't read Kitchen Confidential,
I haven't.
Unbelievable. You should read it. It's a huge insight into the restaurant world, how it really is. It's very honest. It's brutally honest.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
And what they do to work those long shifts and then they somehow manage to wake up the next day and do it again. And this guy did it for years.
My first retail job was working at Moxie's. And
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. Like the soda?
No, so Moxie's in Canada. What can I? refer it to it in a states reference. Something like
It's like a grocery store, or
no, like
It's a restaurant.
It's a restaurant.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a restaurant,
It's
okay.
like it's more like high-end lounge restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Really, but it's a chain.
It's a chain. Yeah. It's affiliated with Milestones.
Milestones.
Is it like a Baton Rouge type of
Yeah, that's
like a high end
No.
chain?
Do you want to
You don't have
grab the mic there?
kind of, yeah.
We got peanut
Well,
gallery
it
chiming
is,
in
right?
here.
I'm trying to think of.
Some other ones.
But what did you do there? That's
So-
fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's basically like a kind of like a they market
So
themselves
it's a high-end lounge. Type.
as a lounge / restaurant.
Okay.
So you go
So you
there
can order
for
drinks and food.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more of a classy atmosphere.
Sure.
Like you would try to dress up to it, but if you didn't dress up, you wouldn't get like kicked out. You know what I mean? That kind of kind of a place.
Okay.
I was dish pit. That's what it was. I was
Wow.
in the dish pit.
That's
dish boy.
that's not an easy job.
That was my first
That's
job.
late nights. That's
My first job in retail. Again, same kind of thing. I was I was
Sure.
biking to my first job. I was there late hours. I mean, as a dish kid, you you stay way past close.
Oh yeah.
Right?
No,
you're the
yeah.
last person. You're,
Oh yeah.
I'm,
That's your. Yeah.
I was cleaning out the bar trays and the bar rubbers and stuff, and
Yeah.
laying out what the cleaners would actually come and scrub out so many days out of the week.
Sure.
But so from there, I went on to I was there for probably a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I actually started near the end of it. I started doing meal prep, or not meal prep, food prep.
Yeah.
So I was on
Yeah.
the prep line.
Well, mise en place.
So I'm just chopping up vegetables, very basic stuff.
mise en
right?
place. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm just
Everything's in place. Actually, where's Kate when you need her? What's mise en place means everything in place. I think in French.
yeah. So you're just chopping
en
up
place.
everything, throwing it in containers, right?
Kate,
Hey, Kate.
mise en place. Does it mean everything in place? Mise en place. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything in place.
everything in place.
As a chef term. Yeah.
For food prep, done. Yeah.
We have our local French interpreter weighing in.
From Montreal.
She's from.
Who knew marrying
She's
a
from
French woman
Quebec.
would benefit me so much?
So no, that was cool. That was fun. From there, I went and I got a job at Isa Mario's, which is
What's that?
basically the Olive Garden of
Okay.
yeah.
You mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
I think.
Perfect.
The Olive Garden of Italian restaurants.
So what did you do there?
Lack thereof of Italian.
Did you prep cook or you?
No, there I went from being a host,
Yeah.
like a hostess host, to a waiter. So there,
Okay,
that's when I
alright.
started waiting tables, and
Yeah.
then I dabbled in some bartending there too, which is fun.
Sure.
But so going along that whole thing, I always looked at. It gave me an insight to that
That world.
That
It's a
world
different
of-
world, and people don't.
chefs and cooking.
If you
and,
don't have anything to do with it, if you're just a basic
pedestrian,
pedestrian, you just
Yeah.
go to a restaurant, you eat your food, you leave,
Yep.
you go home, and none of your family has anything connected to the restaurant industry.
nothing.
You never know about this world.
And I was,
It's a totally different world, man.
I'm so glad that I got to see both sides of it, even from waiting
Sure.
versus just behind in the food,
Yeah.
actual cooking
Did
part
that?
of it.
Let me
It's
ask
totally
you.
different.
Let me ask you this: Did you being a waiter influence the way you tip now?
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. Because you realize that I used to work with people that had been in the restaurant industry, either jumping from restaurant to restaurant. Once you're in the industry, you realize how small it is too,
Oh yeah.
and then you realize that everyone knows everyone.
Yep.
You just restaurant hop,
Yeah.
and you either like the versatility of it, where you make X amount of dollars for serving and
Sure.
or cooking, and you either make a tip out on your cooking side, which is just collective tips, on a percentage of that is split up, or you make your tips as a waiter.
Okay.
So you either like that and you get a lower percentage of a salary, like your hourly.
We have a hand
Thing.
raise. You need a mic though.
This mic right
Yeah.
there.
Okay. My wife wants
Hold
to
on, we
chime
gotta-
in
we
on
gotta-
on this.
We
on
gotta
the
chime
cooking.
in.
But it's not just like the restaurant industry. It's like any service industry. Like I'm in a service industry, not a restaurant at all.
Sure.
Like the opposite.
Yeah, turn
But
her up. Turn her levels up a little bit.
I now tip better, knowing, like being in that industry, because like it sucks when like you do a service on
Yeah.
someone and they don't tip
Yes.
you, right? Like, or they tip you like $2, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I just worked on you for like an hour and a half, so
Yeah.
So
and
it's
I
not
kept the
just like the
conversation
restaurant.
going.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely changes. So when I go to a restaurant now, I think back to like where I was and what I was doing. And you realize that like if you're a certain age, like we just watched Jim Brewer. Jim Brewer talk about
Jim Brewer.
certain people working in the retail industry, and you're like, if you're a certain age at a certain position, like your life sucks,
Yeah.
or like you have no options.
Sure.
That's
absolutely.
the horrible truth of it.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like honestly, like okay, you don't want to work at a restaurant or a coffee shop, but like you do. But the rest of the people, either you're pushing yourself through a schooling and an education or something, or no, this is what you do. Like you're gonna do this till you die. Like you're gonna serve until you die. And it's like, oh man, like for that person, like oh boy, like if you're good at it, cool, you'll get good tips, you're personable, whatever. But like if you're just there grinding in and like day in and day out, and just like, here's your thing, do you want your drink?
Yeah.
What do you want to have? Here's your app, and like no matter how good your service is, like it's a rough go. Like it's really hard.
I feel like for me, going out to eat has always been. It's not just you're gonna go eat here because you don't feel like cooking.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of about the experience too. So
It's convenience.
It's a convenience and it's. I don't go out to eat when
Wait,
I don't want to talk to someone.
Say what you just said again. What did you say about memory? About what?
What? Remember? And so I don't go out to eat when I don't want to talk to somebody. I go out to eat when, I mean, it's part of it for me is about the experience, not just the.
It's about context.
For
It's
me,
not just convenience. Just because I don't feel like cooking today.
for me, it's the atmosphere.
Yeah. And
Oh,
so,
atmosphere's huge.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So what you said about tipping, it's interesting to me because I feel like obviously there's an argument for having a better wage and no tipping, as they do in a lot of countries like in Europe and stuff like that. But I feel like having a tip atmosphere encourages better service.
It absolutely does, and I think that I like being able to be like, oh, our server was awesome today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She was on the ball.
Yeah.
She was talking to me.
Yeah.
She gave me a hug because I just, like I was telling you about this. Like I had a dinner at a Townsman in Boston. Shout out to Townsman. And the waiter there, we did a Pappy Van Winkle bourbon tasting down there, and I just immediately hit it off with our server, and she was totally into it, and we were genuine, just having a good time, and she was just laughing, and then and all of a sudden she's like, "Wait, listen, we don't usually let people taste this thing, but let me hold on. I'm gonna go. Let me run back there real quick. You need to try this. You need to try this." And all of a sudden she's bringing us out like a couple different things to taste, and she's like, "Try this, and compare it to that." And we're just having a great time, and she's giving us hugs. We're just having a good time, and it feels good. And you can be like, "Okay, this was an incredible service.
Yeah, and
incredible."
There's nothing weird or sexual about that because like you're there with your girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
So
I was
it's
there
like
with my.
you're there
girlfriend.
with your girlfriend.
No, yeah.
People, like,
no, it was
and you're
literally
like,
just
no, like,
two
this is
people
cool,
having
like,
a good time.
And
And my girlfriend said she loved it. She was
Yeah.
literally like, "I loved how you hit it off with the waitress."
Yeah.
She's like, and we all just we all hit it off at the same.
Yeah.
We just had the best. She was like, "I had the best time tonight."
Yeah.
And everybody was just having. It was a great night. It was an absolutely great night. And shout out to Townsman in Boston. If you're in the Boston area, you need to go to Townsman. Matthew Jennings' place.
But
Absolutely incredible.
I wouldn't necessarily.
We have a chime in.
Oh, okay.
Hold on one second. We got Kate, Vinny's wife.
Vinny's wife.
Yeah, so like the minimum wage here is like $11.25 for
$11.25 Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars in Montreal.
In Ontario, it's $15.
But
In this province. Yeah.
If you're a worker with tips, like you're at $9.45.
Oh, so they drop it.
So
drops?
it drops a lot.
because you're getting tips.
Exactly.
That's where I was.
Which
when
is
I-
a lot. So if you're not tipping the person, then that really sucks for
That's
them.
significant.
That's where I was trying to, yeah. And remember, certain restaurants, when they do a tip out,
What is to explain what tip out is?
so when you do a tip out procedure, which is basically a percentage of your tips as
Sure.
a waiter,
Yeah.
and you'll get a lot of mixed reviews on this because
Well, some people
the
love it, some people
fairness,
hate it.
the fairness,
of
yeah.
thing.
Some people love it, some people hate it because the tip out is basically
It's not about your service. It's individual service. It's about how good
no,
overall.
it's
the
literally
restaurant is,
like you pool all your tips together. You still
So it's literally about how good the restaurant does.
you pull a certain amount of your tips together, and some of it goes to the back of the house. So some of it goes to the
Okay.
cooks, but then
Okay.
you still take away your portion of
Okay.
it. But
Yeah.
you give like a couple, like whatever, like $5-10 of your tips based on how much you made. So if I made like $100 in a night on tips, just on tips, I'm still getting my hourly wage.
Sure.
But out of those $100, like part of that will go to, like, say $5 will go to the back of the house,
Okay.
the cooks, the preps, the food line.
We
those
have
guys.
another chime in.
Yeah. Tina, chime in?
And I used to bartend, so sometimes when I bartend, I didn't get paid. They would just say, keep your tips and take them home. So if you didn't get tips, then you would
That doesn't sound legal.
like, I'm sure it was under the table.
We should clarify. That was more of a like
sounds
fly by night.
Yeah, like it
like
wasn't like an
bartending.
everyday.
That
It was
sounds
like
sus.
a couple days
She-
here, a couple
yeah.
days there.
Yeah.
But like that's what they would do. They'd be like, you can keep your tips because if you
Again, she
Did you not normally get to keep your
she
tips?
wasn't
How
a
did this-
legal bartender. I
I'm
want
a smart serve, so I was certified.
I don't know if she was.
But that's how some places are. Like
Sure.
you have to split them, like he was saying. So
Yeah.
tipping is a huge thing.
Because even then, when you were doing that kind of bartending job at different like bars and clubs and stuff, you would still give a portion of your tip
No.
to the bar wetbacks, right?
No.
No.
No,
Your
if
barkeeps,
I
like
got
the-
paid hourly, like if they paid me, then I would have to give a certain percentage.
Right.
So I had
But if
the
you-
option, and a lot of times I was like, well, I'll just take my tips because,
Yeah.
like, you know, if I'm only working 4 hours and then I get $20, like in a tip, I have to split that, right?
Runners, right? That's what they call them.
Barbacks.
Barbacks.
Yeah.
Not wetbacks. Sorry.
Yeah, barbacks.
Not to be racist. Sorry about that, guys.
yeah.
Sorry, all Mexicans
I was gonna
and
say, I think that's
Spanish.
not-
here are
Spanish.
We were talking about bars.
Talking about bar people. I was
um,
is the worst.
Very poor choice. I apologize.
no, that's good to know. I mean, I've never been a bartender. That being said, I have gone to bartender school just recently, and it was
He's only-
just for fun.
He's only
kinda.
highly qualified. But
It's
It's okay.
So I did go to bartender school recently, and it's all good stuff to know because I've never worked professionally as a bartender ever.
it's a
So
tough go. Like
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and nowadays like the modern version of it when they like I was doing bartending. Like I was behind the bar making drinks and stuff, but like technically I didn't have my smart serve. I didn't have my certification, but because you're there,
I do. At least I got that.
you're like you're like
At least
you're
I
just
got that.
doing it.
They call it different though.
In-
the States.
in certain-
States, it's not really
tips is what it's called
It's
in the
not so
states.
much a certification. It's like there's a lot of
All the
there's a lot
certif-
of politics to
all this
getting to it, yeah.
exactly all the certification is that we had to do, like we had to take a course and then pay for it and whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just solely based on time. We were so busy in the restaurant that we didn't do it.
Yeah.
But all it was, like I would know nothing that Nils knows on his bartending course because all I was doing was you have to have that certification just to be here's your beer, like
Okay.
like that's it. That's true. Yeah, that's a very important part of it. Yeah.
Sure.
It's different, yeah. Well, they teach you that in bartending school too. They teach you about blood alcohol level.
Yeah.
They'll teach you about.
That's actually all part of at least in the States, the class that I was part of, that the blood alcohol level and
Yeah.
all of that stuff was handled under the tip certification. So the tip certification is, I think, what you're talking about. Like when you said, what did you say it was? Like
in
serve safe. What did you call it?
Ontario or
Smart
Canada?
serve?
I think it's called Smart Serve. Yeah.
Smart serve. So that's probably that
Same
was
thing
when
as
you learned
tips.
about over serving. That's
Yeah.
when you learned about how to handle drunk people.
Yep.
If you are a bartender and
Yep.
somebody is being arrogant at your bar and you
Irate.
disrespect them, how to properly handle it without disrespecting
Client.
the establishment, without disrespecting the person,
Yeah.
but also handling it safely, because you can't let that person drive. If
No.
there is somebody there and they come in and you can't let that person drive. They could
No.
possibly kill somebody. I
And-
mean, it's a serious
and
thing.
then that comes
That's a lot to think about.
The interesting thing is, it doesn't come back on the bartender; it comes back on the establishment.
Oh yeah.
No matter on
It
if
does-
you're licensed
yeah.
or not.
In the United States, it does come back on the bartender.
Oh, really?
A lot of times.
In
A lot of
Canada,
times.
as far as I know, I mean, I could be wrong, but it doesn't come back on the bartender because they're employed by the establishment, by your contract.
Yeah, that's not how it
And-
works in the United States. I
and-
don't think. To
Yeah.
my knowledge, it's
Yeah.
the bartender can be liable, because if you are certified,
Yeah.
if you are over, to what they call tip certified for the over serving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have that certification, you've technically been trained on that.
Yeah.
And it's your responsibility.
If we had
That was-
some dedicated listeners, they'd probably be screaming at us. No,
They can weigh in.
Yeah,
They can weigh in on it. Yeah. I mean, that was
We're just a bunch of uneducated people talking about
Yeah,
stuff.
that was coming from like a rough like family restaurant background.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
but that's from what I remember. That's what it was. And the legal side of it, I do know.
So kind of to steer kind of back to the food side of it. I did what Vinny said earlier about kind of like you're going there to talk to people. Like you're going there for the atmosphere. You're going there to visit people. It's not really about convenience. How hard is it to scramble yourself a couple?
You know,
eggs
you know
if
what's
really-
convenient is
Tips.
McDonald's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't want to eat there.
Tips is a really hard issue to kind of discuss, because as much as I 100% agree with the atmosphere, talking to someone though, depending on my mood as a customer, depends if I want to talk to someone or not.
No, I'm not.
You know what I mean?
And I'm not saying. Yeah. No,
That's a
I'm
hard.
not saying you have to.
That's
do
a
that.
hard one to do, because
No,
I've also
but
I've had as a waiter, I've had people tip me really well, and I've been as personable as I can with them.
Sure.
And I've had people tip me not so well, and I've been just as personable. Or
Mm-hmm.
I've had people that are just quiet, natural people, and they're like, okay, thank you, like blah blah blah.
It's
And
a lot about reading people, because sometimes people do go out and they don't really want to talk to somebody.
yeah,
And if you're way too chatty with them, they're gonna be like, "Ugh, this guy's so annoying."
yeah.
I think
Get out of
that'll
here.
affect
You
your
have
tips.
to read
Every
No,
people.
exactly.
Every single
exactly.
thing
If
can
that
affect your
person's not
tip.
reciprocating that can be a huge
Yeah.
thing. That's the thing. You have to read individual customers. It's not an easy job. I've never
No.
done it. I've
It's-
never been a waiter.
There's a
But
psychological aspect to it
there
that
absolutely
you don't
is.
think about.
The most important thing you can do, though, as a waiter, as being somebody who eats at restaurants as a
Yeah.
customer,
Yeah,
the most important thing you can do is be attentive.
absolutely.
Like, if
Yeah.
you see somebody's water glass is empty, fill the water glass.
Yeah.
Don't make people... The biggest pet peeve, I think, I don't think I'm alone in saying this, when you're ready to leave and they do not bring the check to you,
Oh yeah.
and they just let you sit there and
Oh,
sit
yeah.
there and
Yeah.
sit there and sit there,
That
that
happened
is the
today.
worst.
Which one?
That is the worst.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh my goodness.
All right,
Yeah.
well,
So
we
my
just-
my wife just
We just ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, my wife just pointed and went, tell them the tip story. Okay, so a little while ago, we had a special event happen, and I took my family out for dinner. Extended family, as in like my wife and my actual brother and sister, mom. And we went to an all you can eat Asian fusion place.
Sure.
Which is cool because it had some gluten-free options, which is pretty weird for Asian stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had some like gluten-free like breaded things like General
Okay.
Tao and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, tempura and
Yeah,
stuff
of
like
course.
that, which is hard to find
Yeah,
gluten-free.
yeah, stuff you can't usually get.
So we had been to one location, me and my wife, and it was amazing. The service was great. Everything was amazing, like amazing. We were raving about it. We by accident went to their sister restaurant, which is exactly the same, just a different location. The worst experience ever. The food, ordering the food took forever.
Yeah.
The food getting to us took forever. My brother, who we were celebrating something for him, some of the items he ordered never even came.
Okay.
And he was like, well, like, hey, I just wanted my, like, chicken whatever, and it never even came. And we were like, oh, my God, like, this is taking forever. Like, what the heck's going on? so at the end of like the service was so bad that same thing as my background as a waiter, I was like, I rarely ever don't tip.
So was it service or was there a kitchen backup? Because that's as somebody who's outside.
It was both.
It was both.
It was both. Yeah.
Okay.
Because there were other people getting.
Because
served.
sometimes I feel bad for the servers. If it's a kitchen problem,
It was. So that was the thing.
Oh,
It
okay.
wasn't that busy a restaurant, so
Okay.
you know it's not really
Okay.
the back house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's more
I'm
the.
just I'm trying to clarify. 'Cause
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We don't want to vilify.
Devil's advocate.
Exactly. No, you want to give a full.
No,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
You want the full picture. I
it,
mean,
it really wasn't that busy.
because
Yeah.
sometimes it's literally not the server's fault.
Oh, 100%. And I know,
Kitchen.
and I know
You've
that
been there. You've worked there.
because I've been on the back. Yeah. So you're like, so I take that into account 100%. And it came time for the bill, it came time for the bill, which again took forever. We're still missing items that we have ordered and we've been waiting for over, I want to say like 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Still haven't gotten certain items. And we did tip.
You should take the microphone. Hold on, we get it.
Yeah, my wife's gonna. She was
Yeah,
there.
she's
she
there,
Can, she
so
can
she
weigh in.
needs to have the
So
mic
like
for this.
we paid for his brother, like me and like us and his mom split his brother's
Yeah.
like cost, and his mom tipped, and so did we.
Mm-hmm.
So
It wasn't a great.
it wasn't
tip,
it
but
wasn't
it was
a great
still a
tip,
tip,
but it
yeah.
was still. It was like minimum 15%, minimum.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
Sure.
like I didn't like
That's
leave him
reasonable.
like a $3 tip on like $100.
And 15% is
That's generous.
reasonable.
That's generous for something like this.
reasonable.
I
I
thought.
always tip 20% unless it's like
Which is based,
yeah.
which is
So, like,
based on a lot of
15%.
different.
It's a lot of different factors.
Yeah.
Sure.
15% for us is like because we're both like we're in a tipping industry or
Sure.
we're in a service industry. Like
Like
that's
minimum,
that's
yeah.
minimum for me.
That's
like
like if you
that's
did a bad
if your
job.
service
Oh,
is
50%
bad.
is minimum if you do a bad job.
If you do a bad job,
Yeah.
minimum
Exactly,
15.
minimum 15%.
So that's what we
we
gave
tipped
them.
15%. And his mom, I don't know what his mom's bill was. I didn't see what she tipped, but whatever. We paid cash. So we got up, we were leaving, and it must have been like the manager or whatever. She
Came to me.
She came to Colt, both of us,
Oh my-
and she's like,
no.
she opened up. So you know how the bill comes
the
in like a
billet,
little
like the- yeah.
binder or I don't know folder thing. She came to us and she said, "Can you tip us more? Can you give us more money?"
What?
Because they do a hard job and it's not easy for them.
Yeah, she's
That's
like,
what she
she's
said.
like, this is a very difficult job and it's not easy for them. So can you give them more money, please?
Yeah.
And so like the lady that approached us.
This wasn't our waiter.
No, but she did serve us a few items.
Yeah.
And on the spot, you know, we
I was shocked.
I was shocked. So I opened my wallet and I gave more money.
Yeah.
But we walked out and I was so appalled.
I was shocked.
I
I
was
was like,
That is.
I've
insane.
Never.
been in the industry for so many years, and I've been out of the industry for so many years,
Yeah.
and still obviously gone to restaurants, and I've never had that happen.
I've never
to
even
me.
heard of that.
I've never had it happen to
Asking
me.
for more money.
I
Oh my
was
gosh.
so angry and like offended by it, and I'm not easily to offend. Like it's very hard to offend me. You could do a lot of things, and I probably won't get offended. No, I was like highly offended. It was for one, it was in public, like in the restaurant.
Like you were in
She
front
didn't-
of other customers.
She didn't take me aside and do this. Like
That is
she
incredible.
she did it in front of other paying customers. For one, my wife was right beside me. She and my family was there. Like it goes beyond disrespectful.
That is
Yeah.
so disrespectful.
Food's here.
Our food's here.
Food's
Oh,
here.
we got some Uber Eats. I can see him
Yeah.
through the door.
It's paid for, right?
Speaking of
Should we bring him on
food,
the
Speaking of
podcast?
food.
are you
Speaking
gonna
of tips?
tip him?
Yeah. Speaking of
I have
tips.
no cash. So, does anybody have cash? 'Cause I don't
Invite
have
him
any
in for
cash.
a
I have a couple
podcast.
bucks in my
Let's get
pocket.
this guy.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we'll work out a tip. It'll be fun. Should we
Dude,
pause or should we?
I
No, keep going.
am honestly.
Oh, it was ridiculous. It was honestly like
That is incredible.
So we
in
left.
front
I
of
was
other
shaking.
customers,
So we-
in front of
we
middle of the
left and-
restaurant.
Family.
Middle of the restaurant.
we walked down the street. I almost wanted to come back
yeah.
just to like tell her how bad the service was and the reason
I
and
understand
explain
that,
why.
like, on the
But we
spot.
didn't. We didn't want to make a scene in front of the people. We didn't want to do anything. We left it. We just
And you
haven't been
tipped
back.
15%.
We just haven't been back to that restaurant, and it sucks because It's a good restaurant.
Because the sister
Like,
restaurant
but
was
my other
great.
thing is, what did those other customers think? Those other customers must have thought that you didn't tip them.
And so it makes us look bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That was good call on remember that because it was honestly one of the first times I've ever had like a moral dilemma while tipping.
Yeah.
And I have tipped. Like
Already tipped.
Yeah.
And she blatantly asked us for more money.
Yeah. It wasn't like I
That's
didn't tip.
crazy.
It was no. I tipped, but it just wasn't enough. And I was like,
But that's not her
Yeah,
call.
but it's
Yeah.
not even that you didn't.
And a
it's that
tip
the
isn't-
service sucked.
But then-
and everything sucked.
But
right?
then,
It
but
was
then that calls into consideration that the fact that like, well, like, listen, like you're forgetting the fact that like, there's also the option that I
Don't
didn't tip.
Like a tip
I
is,
don't
is not
tip.
mandatory.
it's
No,
not
it's
mandatory.
technically not mandatory, but I did because I know what happens
you've
and
been
what
there.
goes through. I'm like, so I could have
It's
not
customary
tipped.
too.
What would have happened? Like, it's just a polite thing to do, obviously. But like everything was so bad, and I
That's
still tipped.
Incredible.
And then they still gave me crap for it. I'm like,
incredible.
oh my gosh! Like I was blown away. Disrespectful, churlish,
So, yeah.
immature. Like, oh my gosh,
But okay, so quick.
that's
so
like
is
bad,
that-
the worst.
that's the so. Okay, I'm blown away. I'm
Oh,
blown away by this.
oh,
This is-
absolutely.
That's insane, man.
Absolutely,
But-
I was.
Crazy. That's really crazy.
You know what it forced us to do? We were even
So-
thinking about it. It forced us to think about like, well, like, do we write a Yelp review? Like,
Oh, yeah.
like,
for
how do I
sure.
get justice? Because I
Yeah.
feel I've been wrong.
Yeah.
And
You know
I
how you
went
do
to this
that?
establishment
You know how
for
you do
food.
that? You know how you do that? You start a podcast.
That's right.
And you gain a following.
You name them by
and then
name.
suddenly,
That's
all
right.
of your podcast listeners
That's right.
Yelp them with really weird reviews.
That's
This place served me Tony.
I mean, I was gonna call bomb threat. Like I was like,
6 Libyan
six Libyan missiles are
Well,
coming.
the one who came up to serve you a couple times and tell you that you didn't pay enough? Was that the manager?
Must have been.
I
right?
want to
You
say
didn't
she's
know.
the manager because she wasn't our waiter,
Yeah.
and she spoke for the
Oh, yes.
It
The-
must have
the
been
waitress.
manager
Because
or
our
something.
actual waitresses
Yeah.
didn't speak English.
No, let me see that.
Okay.
Let's hammer
Yes.
this out a little bit.
which
now, you
we're
said
okay with because we go to many Oriental
Of course.
restaurants,
I
so
have
we're
no
totally
problem
fine
with
with
that.
that.
That's
Do
a-
you
yeah.
know? You said you went with your mom. His mom.
His family. So
His
his
family.
mom, his sister, his brother.
So you
and
don't
us.
know how much they tipped, though. You know how much you tipped.
Yes, but she grabbed our bill. Because
Not-
his
not
mom,
my mom's
his mom
bill.
tipped.
My mom
his mom
tipped.
paid
My
with.
mom still tipped, I guarantee
yeah,
it,
and his
yeah.
mom, I know his mom tipped.
She'll still tip.
But she also paid with a card.
Like,
Sure.
We
yeah.
paid with cash, and there was like
And they asked
change
you
in
for
there,
more cash.
and they asked
Yeah.
us for more cash. I'm sure
Assuming
if
that we
paid
had
with-
more cash, like what?
And
if
I
we were
didn't.
bare
I
bones?
literally
Come
just
on,
like
what's
I
going on?
cleared out
That's
my change thing for them.
Oh yeah, that's exactly
Like I
what we
didn't
did.
have any more.
We're
I was like,
we're-
well, this is all I have. Like,
I was
I'm
so
sorry.
angry. I'm like, there's no way that I'm gonna go like, okay, yeah, put it on my card. Like I was like, no, whatever change I have, that's what you're gonna get because that's it. Like there is nothing else. Like that is ridiculous.
So let me ask you this. Let's change the subject a little bit here.
Okay.
Let me ask you this question. That was a bad experience.
That was the worst.
That was a bad experience.
I'm a bust. I was gonna bust. I was so angry.
So
Bust with anger.
So, one thing Anthony Bourdain used to say, is bringing it
Full circle.
full
Full
circle,
circle.
guys. One thing he used to say was, you learn a lot about someone when you share a meal together.
Absolutely, yeah.
That ties into nostalgia and memory and what you enjoy about food and the connections that you form through food, which I think his show did a really good job of showing. The parts unknown. Like him, he goes to other countries and cultures, doesn't even speak their language, but he'll sit down and have a meal with them. And they're best buds by the end of it. They're like showing them what they have to offer. Oh, this is our freshest. It brings worlds together. It really does. Culinary culture, the food experience, cooking, that whole thing. You can really get a feel for what another culture has to offer from their culinary
Background.
expertise and background
Yeah.
and everything. My question, I guess, to you and to Vinny is: do you have I'm kind of putting you on the spot here a little bit, but do either of you have a meal or a memory specifically tied to food that you can think of off the top of your head? It doesn't even matter what it is. It could be a hot dog.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. But if you have something that you are like sensory, smells, specifically tied to good memories with food or around food or drinks.
Just a good memory? That's it? That's what I ask
for? Sure. It's all about who you're with and where you are.
Food, drink, but just a good memory.
It's all about who you're with and what you are.
So,
okay.
So I have one memory that I thought of a few minutes ago, but I didn't have a chance to actually say
Shake
it.
the computer.
Yeah, it's okay. When I was, and it kind of actually relates to what we were talking about tipping even too.
Are your levels a little low? How's that?
Low?
That's pretty low. Yeah. Raise them up a little bit.
Is that better? Yeah.
That looks better.
Yeah.
It looks better.
Okay. So.
That's way better. Yeah.
That's way better.
Yeah.
That's way better. Sorry.
Quiet guy.
Sorry, guys.
I'm the quiet guy.
We're still learning.
So, I thought of this a little bit earlier, but I didn't have a chance to say it yet. But it kind of corresponds to what we're talking about tipping and the experience of actually going out.
Yeah.
And so I think it's.
We'll go back to Nils' question in a sec, because that's an excellent question.
Like
No, I think this
it
ties
coincides.
Or
with,
ties?
with
Okay,
his
okay.
question.
Okay.
Brings everything together here.
Full circle, guys.
Full circle.
Full circle.
When I was younger, I went out to a restaurant with my family. I don't even remember like what restaurant it was or like what I actually ordered to eat, anything like that.
Yeah.
But I just remember.
Can you give us an age?
Probably about 10 to 12
In New York.
in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Got some background.
10 to 12 with both my parents. My sister was not there. And I remember our server, our waiter, sitting like telling me to move over. He's like scoot over. You're
a waiter?
The waiter was like scoot over. So he like sits down next to me. He's like chilling. Like,
What kind of restaurant?
oh, like, this isn't gonna work with everybody.
Yo, no, definitely not.
It's not gonna work with everybody.
Some people, it depends. You gotta
but-
read the
What
vibe.
kind of restaurant are we talking? Do you remember what kind of restaurant or no?
Dave and Buster's?
It's
Or
not
is
a Dave
it-
and Buster's.
It's just, you need this. I was next to the ski ball machine.
It's like
you
that
see?
restaurant in Office Space where they wear like 32 pieces of bling on there. And they're like, hey.
Jennifer Aniston.
It's like
You
Jennifer
don't
Aniston.
have enough
You have the,
flair.
I know you have the minimum
Fuddruckers?
amount of
Is that
flair,
what-
but you should probably have more
Fuddruckers?
flair.
Exactly.
So he sits down next to me, and we're like kind of going over the menu together.
What kind of restaurant was this?
It was a very family based restaurant.
Oh,
Like,
okay,
I don't remember
Applebee's
exactly.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
Maybe
yeah.
Outback Steakhouse, something like
Cool,
that.
okay.
Not a sponsor.
Applebee's, don't sue us. Jeez.
It was one of those.
Which place
it
has
was
the
like
bloomin' onion?
a very.
That thing's delicious.
Well,
That's out-
any
Is that Outback?
It might be Outback.
any food truck.
Hey, we can get off track if we want. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
you-
yeah.
You just gotta open that bag in the next room because it's like 5,000 times louder than anything
It's
else.
100,000 decibels.
Okay.
So he sat down with us and took our order, sitting down on it, and I think that's what. To me, that's the connection with the customer.
He sat down with you.
He sat down with us and talked to us like he was a friend of ours.
Well-
Like we had met him there for dinner.
Was it a busy
A
restaurant?
little interesting.
Moderate. It doesn't
I
it's
only-
something that I noticed at 10 to 12 years old. you
Okay,
know?
I only asked that because like
You're not gonna be able to do that every
I don't
time.
think I've ever sat down as a waiter. I don't think I've ever
No.
sat
That's
down
a
with
little-
someone and be like, "Hey, so
No,
hey,
and that's-
you guys want tortellini?" Or
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna
No,
do
no,
that, you should
but
be
like-
wearing flair, like a lot of flair,
Like
like
all
that
the
dude
lot
in
of flair.
Office Space.
like you should be wearing all the flair, or your hair should be so slicked back that you don't even
My
remember the person's name tag.
My point is, I don't remember exactly how old I was,
Okay.
or even what restaurant it was. But I remember the experience of the guy sitting down with us and acting like he was a friend of ours that we like already knew from.
Was
before.
it cool? Was it a good experience?
Oh yeah, we
So-
we loved the guy after that.
Oh,
Like
really?
he was like.
So he read you right, is what you're
have
saying.
so back to what I said before. You have to read people and to like know how to treat them as this is coming from someone who's never been in the food industry. I've never been a waiter or anything like that, but he read us perfectly and knew exactly how to act with us, and he was super cool. And we loved, and not just me being a kid, but like my parents loved him. We tipped him I assume decently. I didn't swipe my own credit card. I didn't have one.
Parents didn't.
You were
Parents
10.
didn't
I'm
tip him at
assuming
all.
my parents tipped him well.
No,
Yeah.
But like we were
that's
all like,
fine.
oh, like that guy was so cool. He was so nice.
Yeah.
Super fun. So that was just
So,
like that was one nice experience
when
that I had.
when I think back about genuine food experiences that really influenced me into a love of cooking and eating and how things taste and that kind of stuff. I was probably around your age too. I was probably like 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there. We went camping on the Kangamangas Highway, a campsite called in New Hampshire, a campsite called Jigger Johnson on the Kangamangas Highway, and I remember my cousin came into my tent like really early. He was older than me. He woke me up. He said, "Come on, let's go fishing. I'm like, "What? It's so early? 6:00 in the morning, whatever." I'm pretty young. I don't remember a lot of details, but I know we got up early before everybody else. We went down to the river. We cast our lines in. We caught a bunch of trout, nice brookies. Brought them back. We cleaned them, and it was kind of before I was kind of into food. I wasn't really at the right age, probably 10. I wasn't really into cooking or anything, and he's like, "Listen, now come here. I'm gonna show you how to cook." My cousin Jesse. Shout out to Jesse Snow. I still remember this to this day. I've never told him that. I probably should, but we cleaned them, and he's like, "Listen, you want it." We put them in a cast iron frying pan over the fire. Get the pan nice and hot. Some butter. Melt the butter in there. And you put kosher salt kosher salt in the cavity, and you kind of go and it's cooking in the butter. Skin's getting a little crispy, and he goes, "Listen, you can never have enough pepper. Pepper, you can never have enough pepper." So we're turning the pepper mill or Craig pepper out onto the thing, put it in the cavity, put it on the thing, and it was just an incredible experience as a kid. And I'm like, I don't even know if I like fish. And then we pulled that off. It's fresh trout, crispy skin, salt, butter, pepper. That's it. 3 ingredients. 4 ingredients. Trout, butter, salt, pepper. 4 ingredients. That's it. Pulled it off. That was our breakfast that morning. Like almost like before everybody got up.
Yeah.
And that's a memory. Like I'll never forget like that smell. That was probably one of the first times I really noticed the smell of like melting, sizzling butter in a pan. And to this day, I think about that.
Trout?
That's what I did. Yeah, brook trout. Yeah.
You guys pull the bones out, like, or no?
No. We we cleaned them up. We cleaned them. Salt, pepper, butter, and then you do have to pick through it. You're right. It's not fillets.
That's why I'm saying, because I'm like, fish is like.
Yeah, no, you eat it. You eat it right off the body, and
I know.
And you pick the meat off the ribs. Kind of, you can use once it's cooked. You can use your fingers and kind of just peel the meat back off the ribs, and all the ribs will stay there, and you just pull the meat off.
It flakes off. If
it flakes off. If you cook it
exactly.
Right. Yeah.
It has to be
cooked enough. Sure.
It'll flake right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was delicious. And I was like, that was when I probably when I realized like.
Fish is meat.
Like fish is delicious. First of all, like I was probably like 10 and didn't even I can't remember, but I probably didn't even really like it or didn't even like know anything about it. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, we went out, we caught this, we brought it back, we cleaned it, and we cooked it, and you couple 2 or 3 ingredients. This is a delicious breakfast. Yeah. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's such a good memory, and it probably kicked off my love of like, I can do this.
It segues into the Cuba lobster story, right?
Oh yeah. Which you didn't tell on the podcast, did you?
No, I did. Yeah, I think I did.
You did? Did we talk about that on this, or was that before we started?
Oh man,
the Cuba lobster. I think that was before we started.
If it wasn't in the second podcast.
No. You told us that at breakfast today when we were out. I think.
No, I
told you here.
In the car,
but it was here. It was here, but I don't think we were on podcast.
Okay.
Either way, you should probably just say it again.
Just say it.
Oh, yeah, either way, I went to Cuba for the first time when I was 18. I went with a friend of mine, and we went on our first excursion, or my first excursion ever, on a catamaran in the just off the coast of Cuba. And we had fresh caught lobster that morning.
Wow.
Exactly.
Never been.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
so from Canada, like for us at 18, we got the trip for like $500. It was nothing. We were like,
Yeah.
this is the best trip ever. It was my first time in like a saltwater area. I was like, this is the best island in the world. I was like, this is amazing. And my wife makes fun of me because that's the only like island kind of reference I have until our honeymoon, which was in Bali, which is amazing. But so before that, yeah, it was just Cuba, and that was it. Oh, yeah. Bali's not an island. Bali's a Bali's like, yeah. I mean, we stayed off a coast.
We're not experts in everything.
This is not a geography podcast.
Again, we put a disclaimer in our first podcast. You can go back to it if you want, and it said that we are not intellectuals.
You're not gonna get any nuggets of knowledge you've never
We have
heard
one
before.
one savant of knowledge, and that is food knowledge, and that is from our friend Nils here. But yeah, so back to Cuba, we're on the boat, we're on our little excursion, we're snorkeling with the fishes, whatever, and they feed us fresh caught. I'm not gonna say the sea. Ocean, because I have no idea exactly what part of the ocean that is near Cuba. What is it?
Atlantic?
Is it Atlantic?
Yeah.
Probably
It's Atlantic.
Atlantic
Yeah.
caught
Yeah, it
lobster.
should be right.
I want to say
Atlantic.
right off Miami. So
Yeah, so
it's
Atlantic.
Pacific.
No,
No, it's not Pacific.
No, Miami is East Coast.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Atlantic.
And now the debate
Atlantic,
starts.
Gulf.
because-
Once
Yeah.
again, this is not a geography podcast. It's the Atlantic Ocean, though. I'm the human Google, so...
So-
We got it.
So I caught a shellfish from the ocean. Yeah, this is exactly what I said. I have no idea what part of the ocean I got it from, but I was off the coast of Cuba.
Sure.
I was 18.
Atlantic.
Is it Atlantic? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Our fact checker so off the coast of Cuba in the Atlantic Ocean. And we were on our way. We went snorkeling. We went diving and stuff. We were on our way to a little part of the island off of Cuba, and they were like, okay, for an extra $4 or 4 pesos, you guys can have this fresh lobster with lemon. And I'm like, yeah,
Simple.
done, easy, done. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Take
Oh,
my
yeah.
pesos. I don't care. Pesos are nothing.
Who cares?
Pesos to me are nothing. I am Canadian and I own the world. Okay.
Do they use pesos
Just
in Cuba?
ignorant
I
18-year-old.
don't think so. I don't know what they use in Cuba. Take my pesos.
Is it? No, what is
In
it?
Cuba?
Cuba? What is
It's
it?
not
Not pesos?
That's
I don't think
Mexican.
so. That's Mexico.
I think it's pesos. Okay. Doesn't matter the currency. Anyways, I paid for it. I went for it. This lobster, oh my goodness. To this day, I've had East Coast lobster from Canada. I've had lobster in Mexico. I've had I want to say I've had lobster in like Indonesia. Oh, it's peso.
In Cuba?
Yeah, it's Cuban peso.
Cuban
Pesos.
pesos. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
What did I,
It's
what did
Cuban
I say?
pesos. That's what Kate just
Pesos.
said.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but I'm thinking like Mexico. Like
I was correct. Either
I don't know
way,
what they use in
I
Cuba.
paid for the lobster on the boat.
Yeah.
I had it. Yeah, I was we were talking about it earlier that when we weren't recording, and I was saying that it was one of the best lobster experiences I have ever experienced because it was literally just fresh caught that morning,
Yeah.
served to you.
Well, what ingredients? You told me the ingredients.
I told you the ingredients. It was literally
Say it again.
they cut it up
Yeah.
out of shell.
Split the tail.
So split the tail.
Yeah. And
Just-
did you see them cook it?
No, because it was you're on the top of the catamaran,
Sure,
which is
yeah.
just like big old flat boat.
Yep.
And boat, Not boat.
Hot
It's
boat.
a boat.
Your lobster was 5 days old. Just saying.
Oh, maybe who knows?
Maybe.
Depends on how much
They're
beer
trying to use it up.
it depends on how much beer we drank that day.
Yeah.
As an 18-year-old, all I can remember is disclaimer: 18 years old, probably didn't have a big alcohol. So we had this lobster. It was phenomenal. And as I was telling Nils and Vinny earlier, it was literally just lobster and lemon.
That's
They
it.
give you a thick slice of lemon to squeeze on the lobster tail.
Oh man.
meat, and you eat that as you're on your way to another island in the middle of God knows where.
And that meets up perfectly with my story because this wasn't like
It was phenomenal.
hundreds of dollars crazy dinner. It's a simple thing with like 3 ingredients. And I think this ties in nicely, actually, since we've been kind of jumping back to Bourdain here and there.
Yeah.
He has a nice. He said something here. I'll just quote him here directly. He says, "Meals make the society hold the fabric together in lots of ways that were charming and interesting and intoxicating to me. The perfect meal or the best meals occur in a context that frequently has very little to do with the food itself."
Yeah.
And that's amazing. I've heard that before. I've heard food can connect people on levels that you can't even recognize.
Yep.
Verbally, lingually.
Kate,
No.
you have something to say?
No, but like when Nils asked the question, what do you do with people that have this huge bad relationship with food? Which I had for a while. Like I started dieting when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had a good relationship with food. Like the second that, I grew up with my brothers and my mom that would eat crap all the time. My mom was 90 pounds all her life.
Yeah,
super
and she could eat whatever
skinny.
she wanted.
Yeah, and then I was here looking at Kate gaining weight. And the second, I think my mom brought me to see a dietitian. And food, this is the food you don't eat. This is the food you eat. And then my mom was just like, it's so simple. Lose weight, eat less, like don't eat this and exercise. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then you become obsessed with losing weight and you see a bad food, even if it's good, you eat it. And then you feel so guilty.
Sure.
And like, what do you do with that?
But food doesn't have to be bad to be good, which is what a lot of people don't understand.
Oh, especially in America.
How good are avocados with salt?
There's a lot of misinformation.
I'm a bust. I'm a bust.
I hate avocados.
Really?
That's
Yeah,
Do you really?
I hate them.
I had
That's
no idea.
amazing to me.
As a
I'm keto-ish, as we established
yeah,
last
as a-
episode.
as
and
a
I
keto-ish-
don't like avocados.
I'm so basic.
There's just, I mean,
hey, I'm
Dude,
right
straight
there with you.
straight up though, the dietitian you saw probably isn't up to current standards. There's a lot of information we have
That's
now
probably
that most of these people
100%
don't really
accurate.
know.
That's 100% accurate.
But they still subscribe to.
When did she go to the dietitian? Probably early 2000s.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Early 2000s, probably, or mid 2000s.
I assume
Stuff has
early-
changed
yeah.
so much
Yeah.
since then. And shout out to Joe Rogan Experience, the podcast, for enlightening me on
Really
a lot of
getting
these
a
new
lot of
diets.
information out there that we don't.
on a lot of these diet
But
things.
you can't blame what we know. Like you can't blame. It's so there's so many avenues you can go into. Like so many off topics we can get crazy about.
Yeah.
But like,
It's just- but-
from here we could spiral into anything.
oh
like-
yeah, let's.
Um,
you want to grab the mic and talk about what you were saying? But like what Kate was saying about how she grew up and how, so Kate is Vinny's wife, explaining to explaining how her background and growing up and dietary issues were. My wife, Antonina Schmidtka, was also saying like kind of a similar thing.
What?
Oh. Do you want to go check? No. Do you want to? No. Say it first.
Yeah,
say it first.
you can't do anything about it now.
Just the same thing you were saying. Like Kate explained how like her dietary issues were.
So I have celiac and I'm lactose intolerant. So it's
Yeah.
been like a hell my entire life, just
Yeah.
trying to like.
Find healthy.
Because I was
Well,
diagnosed
it's finding that balance, right? Of
And
trying
finding-
to find stuff that you enjoy
Yeah.
and
and not being
finding
that
people-
like person that's like, sorry guys, can't have this, can't
Yeah.
go here, sorry, can't. Oh,
And
okay,
not
I'll
being
just have a salad. Okay,
being
you know.
self-conscious about being annoying.
Exactly,
right?
that's
Yeah.
like one of the biggest things.
Because it's a lot. As much as it is a nutritional like personal thing, it's a social thing. You're like,
Yeah,
I don't
totally.
want to put you guys out
Absolutely.
if we go out. I don't want to be like, oh no, I can't have
Yeah.
pizza. So no, guys, I want fries. Let's go for fries.
Yeah.
Like
A
no,
lot
that's
of
not
that
what
comes from not just the experts being the quote unquote experts being misinformed, because of past
Western medicine. No, yeah.
because of
Did you shut it off? Okay.
you know
Sorry, guys.
past corrupt studies, past people being paid off to say certain things.
Yeah.
But really that filters down to your peers, like everybody around you.
Your peer group.
Yeah, your peer group.
Yeah.
Everybody around you views things a certain way, and then the only reason that you have to be to be afraid that you're annoying about certain things is because everyone around you doesn't know that what you're doing isn't annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's correct, and they're misinformed.
To have a conscience effort.
Yeah.
Like, a
Conscious effort. Yeah.
conscious effort of what you're going for. This is hilarious because I had no idea that gluten would ever be a problem in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. I grew up with one of my best friends, who maybe one day we'll have on the podcast, Dan Richardson. His mom was gluten free, and I was I went at this point in my life. I was the first time I heard about that, or even acknowledged what he was saying about his mom.
Yeah.
In this context, was he was talking about pizza.
Yeah.
And he was talking about he went to Pizza, not sponsored.
Little Caesars, not
so
sponsored.
we were ordering pizza one night, and he's like, "Oh, my mom's gonna get a gluten-free pizza, blah blah blah."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, cool." She ordered this gluten-free pizza. So at that point, I was undergoing some therapy stuff at a rehab, like a physical rehab place, because I had been in an accident, and they had right next door to this place. It was this rehab place that I was working out at was right next door to a bakery, and the bakery had a sign outside that said gluten free available, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about like 2003, 2001, 2003, right? And they
It's pretty advanced for 2001 to 2003.
well, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about it was an industrial area.
Yeah,
It wasn't very
yeah.
commercial. It wasn't very,
So it's pretty amazing that they
yeah,
even have
it was in the middle of nowhere. But they were like, no, we need to put out that we have this option.
Sure.
So they were advertising on their old friggin' billboard and their green, like bright green, orange sign lettering that they had this option. And I was like, okay. I looked at it, and as a absolute ignorant, like, I don't know, 16, 17-year-old, I looked at it and went, oh, I'm like, what is glutton? I'm like, glutton what? I'm like, glutton bread? I'm like, I don't even understand.
Glutton bread.
My mom was like, it's Colton, it's gluten.
It's gluten.
It's a thing in bread. It's an ingredient. I'm like, oh, I am ignorant. I apologize. I have
It's
no
an
idea.
ingredient.
I have no
It's
idea.
actually a protein.
Yeah, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, I apologize. Little did I know that would have such a huge effect on my life. Like, through my wife, through like, I dated a girl who had type 1 diabetes, who was also technically gluten intolerant.
Sure, yeah.
Well, obviously, because some glutens turn into like sugar and stuff, like some carbs and stuff turn into sugar. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
What about you, Colt? What about
Personally,
the thing that I talked to I asked Vinny, do you have any personal food experiences like that are tied to memories that are good? Anything?
so to a good time versus memory, like what do you mean? Like like
It doesn't have to be about the food. It doesn't have. It could be, like I said, it could be a hot dog. It doesn't matter.
Man. So what my great love in life is chicken wings.
Yeah.
I love chicken
Yeah.
wings. Like this is I am the savant of chicken wings.
Yeah.
Like I have been everywhere and I've ordered it everywhere just because you have it? I have to have it.
Yeah.
Just to know what it tastes like because I'm here now in this moment right now, taking every moment for what it's worth. So as a chicken wing savant, I will call myself. I love chicken wings, and chicken wings will, depending on what kind of a chicken wing I have, it will take me back to a certain life experience. It will, and that's multiple memories in different places.
That's funny. That's
based based
I like
on.
it. No, I like it.
Yeah, right. Isn't that kind of? It's
Yeah.
kind of deep, but like,
You're like,
honestly,
this
like
honey barbecue wings gonna take me back to this time.
it's
This
true.
teriyaki
It's
wing
true.
gonna take me
There's
back.
I've only had one. I've had one, and it's in Mississauga,
Yeah.
Toronto, which is part of the six,
Six.
which we'll get into later.
Right, yeah, that's another
Possibly another podcast.
Possibly.
Never. I'm kidding.
No one calls it the Six, Drake. Nobody.
Come on, Drake.
Lay off. Toronto is not called the Six.
GTA what? So this one chicken wing I have had at a pub. Yeah, I think it's an Irish pub, I believe. I've had a I want to say it's a honey garlic grilled chicken wing. And they do a couple different varieties of chicken wings. Not only in sauces, because obviously every place is different sauces.
Yeah.
But like I'm talking about like the preparation of the chicken wing. So grilled versus baked versus deep fried versus breaded
Yeah, grilled
versus
is
not
definitely the-
not breaded.
Yeah, grilled
versus
is the way to go, man. For sure.
Oh, grilled is it's just different. So I have a certain memory of my dad when I was probably.
Here we go, guys. Get the Kleenex out.
Here we go. Here we go.
Colt never had a game of catch with his dad.
We're
He's-
about to get. Hey, you want to throw that pigskin?
It's gonna
Hey,
get
Dad,
heavy
you want to
in
have
here.
a catch?
Yeah.
You want to
You want to play a game of catch? You want to kick that
You
pigskin
want to have
around?
a catch, Dad?
No.
No.
Yeah. I'm busy, son. I can't do it.
Go
See?
ahead. Go ahead, Colt. Keep going.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So, no, I remember a specific barbecue. I want to say I was 6 or 8,
Yeah,
like super young. But I remember it because I love chicken wings.
sure.
I'll always remember chicken wings. I remember barbecuing in our backyard.
Yeah.
I lived in the same area for close to 15 years. So I was like, okay, this is it. We had one barbecue, a whole bunch of people over, a bunch of friends, family.
Yeah.
And my dad made these barbecue wings. And they were, he just threw them on the grill, unsauced,
Yeah.
no big deal.
Grill
And-
them first. You grill them first. Yeah,
well,
that's
they
what
were
I do,
they
too.
were uncooked, obviously.
Yeah, that's what I do too. If you're starting raw,
Just
you throw
they
them
were
on the
just
grill.
they were
Yeah, yeah.
you know
No,
de-thawed.
he's a smart man.
They're
Yeah,
de-thawed.
he's a smart man.
I mean, I have a great relationship with him, so I won't say he's
Oh,
smart,
okay.
but
anyway,
yeah, at the
listen, he knew how to cook chicken wings.
culinary.
If you could say this about him, he knew how to cook.
Like I
chicken
wouldn't
wings.
call him smart, but like he was knowledgeable
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
knowledgeable enough that he could cook a chicken wing,
Yeah.
which is it doesn't say a lot for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So this memory, so you have this memory of
So
the
anyways.
Again, it's not even about the wing; it's about the memory.
it's not even about the person. Like it's not even my dad.
It's just you.
Doesn't
it's
even
just,
matter.
But it stands out
It's
in
about
your
the
mind.
chicken wing
It stands
and
out
the
in your mind.
experience, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to go for.
Absolutely.
So this moment, this dude, my dad, was making a chicken wing.
Yeah.
Threw him on the Barbie, whatever. Crisped them enough. Didn't
Yeah.
bake them. Didn't sauce them in anything. Didn't do a dry mix. Didn't dust them in anything. He
Okay.
just freaking meat on grill, done.
That's it.
That's it. Game over.
Slow and low.
Slow and low. I couldn't tell you how he cooked them
Yeah, yeah.
on the barbecue.
Yeah.
All I can say is, all I know for this exact moment,
Yeah.
from my memory, is
Yeah.
he cooked them from nothing to grill.
Yeah.
Threw them in a sauce, which I'm sure was just some whatever bull crap sauce.
Yeah.
Could have been homemade. I don't know.
So I got just keep going, but
Yeah.
I have one after this. Just I'm putting my
Okay.
name in the docket. You know,
Yeah,
I'm next.
Put a
up.
bookmark in there.
I'm next up.
Yeah.
I got one after this for you.
Okay.
A wing sauce, like a wing.
Not a wing one, but
Okay.
just a food, just like
food-
this
a
memory.
food memory?
A food memory. Yeah.
They're gonna start coming, I
Yeah.
swear. So this is my chicken wing thing.
Yep.
And chicken wings are I love them. You can meet me in 25 years and I'll be like, oh, you want to go for wings?
Oh.
Yeah, let's do it. I don't even care what diet
Yeah.
I'm on. I don't even care. I'll
It's
do
just-
it.
Yeah.
I could die tomorrow and I will do it. Yes. If it's
Okay.
gonna mean my end, I will probably. That's a happy end. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he throws it in, barbecues it naked, whatever.
Yeah.
Sauces it in something. I
Okay.
want to say he did like a homemade honey garlic.
Yeah.
I want to say
All
that.
right. All right.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, even if it was bottled, it doesn't even matter.
Even sure, and put a little hot
Yeah.
sauce. Whatever.
But this is the important thing. You remembered
The
this.
important thing, I was at 8 to 12. I want to say like
8 to
around
12,
that time.
yeah.
Did I say that before
Yeah.
or no?
No, I don't think so.
What did I
don't
say,
think you
12
said.
to-
I think you said 12 or something. I don't.
12 to something.
12. 8. So you were pretty young.
I was young. I was
and you
very
say,
young.
and it stands out. This is what I mean.
That's
this is
what
what
I'm
I
talking
mean.
about. That's what I'm talking about.
This is what I mean.
I'm talking about a memory that is like so meaningful.
It's tied to the food.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Because
crazy?
I was thinking about this earlier. Nils, before we even started this podcast, Nils was like, "What's your favorite meal?" And then he's like, "What's your favorite food?" And I was like, "They're two different things, but at the end of the day, this thing stands out, and
Sure.
it's chicken wings."
Yeah.
I'm like, chicken wings is my thing. I love it.
That's your thing.
I love it. Like I just love it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
So hold on.
Oh,
So-
sorry. Were you done?
No,
Were
I
you
wasn't. So I was
Oh,
almost
yeah.
done.
Okay.
So he made this.
Yeah.
He made these chicken wings, dusted them in. I want to say like a honey garlic, maybe a little
Yep.
spice in there.
Yep.
Sorry, guys, I'm back.
Okay. So he did this thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then I remember tasting them. Like, we're there, a bunch of friends and family are there. We're all hanging out, and I have this chicken wing, and it is. The charcoal hit me, and I had charcoal before.
Yeah.
Like I had barbecue before, obviously. Yeah. I grew up roughly in the country.
Yep.
On the beach, roughly, and this chicken wing hit me with a charcoal / I want to say like a hot / honey. Which is why anytime I order a barbecue, like a chicken wing, it's always like a hot and honey mix.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to recreate that sensation, like that memory, right?
Yep.
So I had this chicken wing, and I was like, oh my goodness, like.
So you're 8 to 10. You're about the same age I had the fish.
The fish.
So you're like, okay. You're like, you just realize you're like, wow.
You've had the fish before at that age.
Probably.
But
yeah.
you didn't even know.
I didn't even think about it until.
But it connects because you're like.
Yeah.
This
and all of a
different.
sudden your brain
like,
just like changes. You're like, oh my
you could
god.
Be 6. You could be like, I mean, I want to say like you probably remember things cognitively.
Sure.
Like at a certain age, but like you could be 6 to 12, 13, 14, 15, 20, whatever. When you have a certain food that you've now had prepared in a certain way, and it clicks.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, this is the thing that I like. You know what I mean? Like, like take away all of the stuff you've been told.
Yeah.
All of the stuff that social media has told you and your parents have told you and all this. But you have a certain thing. You're like, no. Like, it could be asparagus done a certain way. It doesn't matter. Like that hits you, and you're like, oh, no, this is the thing. Like, For me, that's chicken wing.
So
I had that chicken wing, and I was done. I was like, that's it.
I mean, I know this podcast is running long. This episode's particularly running long.
Right.
But I have a quick one just along these lines. It's very quick because it's very simple. It's we used to go every year to. We still do. Not every year, but every few years we go up to Nova Scotia. My uncle owns like 1,000 acres up there.
I love East Coast.
And
Hashtag East
on the
Coast.
Bredor Lakes
Love
up
you
in
guys.
Nova Scotia.
You're the best.
He's actually not he's my grandmother's cousin, I think, but I just call him like my uncle or whatever.
Technically an estranged friend.
Yeah, technically, yeah. But so we're still pretty close. Like,
It's awesome though.
he has a big house in a bunkhouse, and he's a great cook. He's another one. He's another one who I went up early on, and he's the one who got me into food and cooking, because I was like, okay, I've never seen stuff done like this. Like, you just cooked me a moose stew. I'm like 10 years old. You made a moose stew that like, knocked my socks off. This is ridiculous. So we did we drove a bunch of the beaches up there and a bunch of the cliffs in Nova Scotia, which essentially looks like Ireland. Like, I've been to Nova Scotia, I've been to Ireland. It looks like Ireland.
There are certain parts where you would never know the difference.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So I've been to. So we were on one of these parts in Nova Scotia, and we were so hungry. Like, when you haven't eaten all day and you're like starving.
Yeah.
So this is like not. This is not a once again, it's like my fish thing. It's like not a fancy food experience, but it sticks out in my mind.
Side note: when you're starving, it is hard to differentiate between this is good food and this is bad food.
Oh yeah.
Well, not to take away from your story, but like that
no,
is
and this
a very important part.
This was pretty good because I've recreated this since. But he's like, we're driving along these dirt roads in his truck, and we're driving along literally sheer cliffs, like 50 foot to 100, 50 foot probably to 75, 80 foot cliffs down to the ocean. And we're driving along, and it's tall grass, and you can see everything. And we're, driving along, and suddenly it's like, oh my goodness, we haven't eaten all day. And he goes, oh, I packed salmon sandwiches. Yeah. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, I've never even heard of this. Yeah. It's like tuna fish. It's like what you think it is. It's salmon that comes in a can. I think it was Canadian because we were in Nova Scotia. But if
it was in a can, it might not.
It was. No, it was.
Okay.
It was. Yeah, no, it was canned, and it was good. It was really good. It was very flavorful, and he, just like tuna fish, a little bit of mayonnaise, some spices, some salt, pepper, whatever. Threw it on a piece of bread. A few strips of lettuce. Doesn't even matter. We were so hungry. Some wheat bread. We didn't even care. When I bit into it, we're standing up on these cliffs. The grass is moving. The truck is shut off, and we're just relaxing in Nova Scotia. And we bite into this sandwich. It's very simple, but it was about who I was with. I was with my dad. I was with this guy. His name's David Gunn. He was actually the president CEO of Amtrak for a while. Oh, wow. The New York City Transit Authority, the Boston, the T. He's been president of all of it at some point in his life. Anything to do with trains, he's been a part of.
Okay.
So, I'm with this guy. He has great stories. It's fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating. Listen to this guy talk. David Gunn. You can see him on YouTube. You can Google him. He comes up. David Gunn. Gunn. He's a great guy. He's a great guy, and his stories are unbelievable. And I'm with him, and I'm eating this, essentially mediocre sandwich, but you're hungry and you're looking at the ocean, and it tastes so good. It doesn't even matter what you're eating at that point.
Salmon sandwich in my head is right next to a tuna sandwich or egg salad sandwich at a funeral.
Oh yeah,
that's just like
it's like the finger foods.
Yeah, the little triangle. You got Wonder Bread cut up in 4 slices. That's all right, cool, whatever.
So just to wrap this up, I think once again we started with Anthony Bourdain. I think we should end this podcast with Anthony Bourdain.
I think it's awesome that or interesting more like that. All of our stories were not. I mean, we're all young here. We're all sub 30. But all of our stories were when we were like real kids, not just like a couple of years ago was our best story. But all our stories were around like 10 years older, maybe even younger.
And none of the stories really had to do with the food.
It really, it's the experience, and it sticks with you.
And when it sticks out in your head,
but what triggers that is the food.
Absolutely.
That flavor of that certain thing, whatever you had, and you could have it to this day. That'll trigger that memory.
Yeah.
And when that happens, takes you right back.
So again, just to wrap this up, I know we're running pretty long. What you just said and what you just said, is almost ties exactly into this to what Anthony Bourdain said, and I'm gonna quote Anthony Bourdain directly here, just to wrap this up. He said, "Food is everything we are. It's an extension of nationalist feeling, ethnic feeling, your personal history, your province, your region, your tribe, your grandma. It's inseparable from those. Inseparable from those from the get-go. It's inseparable from those from the get-go. It's you can't. I don't even know that. I can't say it better than Anthony Bourdain. That's it.
Yeah. Don't even try.
He's a wordsmith. I can't get around this. I'm just a simpleton. But
it's
literally exactly what he said. It's inseparable from those from the get-go. The food, the experience. It's about your history. It's about your personal history. It's about your feeling. That's all it is. And that's what we're trying to go for here. And we're about to eat some dinner right now. So let's make some memories, guys.
All right.
This has been Kegs and Eggs Podcast, episode number 3.
Episode 3.
To Anthony Bourdain in memory.
R.I.P. Anthony Bourdain.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for stopping by, guys.